Thank you, Chairman Meeks, and thank you, Secretary Blinken, for your leadership. At our last hearing, we discussed the issue of assignment restrictions, which is the practice of the State Department to prohibit certain employees from working on issues related to certain countries. This practice affects a number of current State Department employees, as well as potentially a number of their 500 new employees that you seek to hire. We have asked for data on assignment restrictions from the department, including a breakdown by categories such as race, gender, and ethnicity. Wondering if you have an update as to when we might get that data.
Thank you, and I do, and I very much appreciate you putting a light on this. This was a concern of mine when I actually served as Deputy Secretary back 2015 to 2017. And in the time since, and under our administration, I have to credit as well former Deputy Secretary Steve Biegun, the department has focused on this. And we basically ordered 2 reviews be conducted. There's an assignments restrictions task force that is looking at how to mitigate any security concerns and background investigations. And then diplomatic security itself has been conducting an internal audit on the effectiveness of the restriction process. We're basically looking at both the broader policy and individual cases. And I am determined that we leverage diversity and the skills of our workforce in ways that make the Department of our foreign policy more effective. I think we will be in a position to report out on this in the next few weeks. The work is coming to a conclusion, and we should have more to say, and I'll be happy to make sure we're engaged with you on this in the coming weeks.
Thank you very much. And what I'd like to ask of you is, in addition to looking at making the process better, I want you to consider eliminating the practice in its entirety. And so I'm going to offer you at least 3 reasons why that should be. First, I do believe that this practice is offensive and disrespectful. It's basically telling a number of State Department employees that we believe you're going to be a traitor. That given a choice between the United States of America and the foreign country in which you've been given an assignment restriction, that we believe you are going to pick that foreign country. The U.S. military doesn't do this. I previously served in active duty in the United States Air Force. I was granted a top secret security clearance. The Department of Defense didn't then come in and say, hey, we're going to give you an assignment restriction and not let you serve in U.S. Pacific Command because you have family members that live in Taiwan. Second reason is, as you have stated, this does affect recruiting and retention. We know that this policy kneecaps immediately the career of State Department employees. They're simply never going to rise to the highest levels of this department. I had a meeting last month, actually an event, with former Ambassador to South Korea, Harry Harris, who was appointed by President Trump. And he agreed that this was a deeply problematic practice. As you know, he also happened to have been the first Japanese-American admiral of U.S. Pacific Command. If the Pentagon early in his career had gone to him and said, hey, you cannot work on issues related to Japan, would he have ever risen to the rank of admiral in command of U.S. Pacific Command? He would not. But the military doesn't do that, and that's a reason that the U.S. benefited from his expertise and his talent. And then finally, I just want to note that in the 21st century, virtually every country has interests beyond their borders. So it makes little sense to have geographic limitations with assignment restrictions. Let's say a Russian-American employee is given an assignment restriction because she has an aunt that lives in St. Petersburg. And so the State Department then decides to put her in Azerbaijan. Well, Russia can still leverage that familiar relationship and try to seek U.S.-Azerbaijan communications. And so I just want to extend this policy to the extreme. It would mean that virtually no State Department employee could be stationed anywhere as long as they have a family member stationed or living in a foreign country. And I want you to look at really the entire conceptual basis to see if it makes any sense in the 21st century. I know the process is ongoing, so thank you for doing that. And then I'm just going to briefly conclude on subnational diplomacy. This is the practice that's been occurring for decades, where mayors, council members, state governors use their tremendous talents and energies to engage with foreign governments and foreign cities and foreign organizations. The State Department, I think, would do well to try to benefit from that expertise and help them coordinate it. I have legislation with Republican Congressman Joe Wilson. We're working with your department to get it done, and I appreciate you taking a look at that as well.
First of all, thanks for the very compelling comments on the restriction process. Very much appreciated. And on subnational piece, yeah, we really welcome working with you and Congressman Wilson on that.
Thank you. The gentleman's time has expired. I now recognize Representative Greg Stubbe of Florida for 5 minutes.